Hello? Hello? It's a tripod camera holder. It's not a back scratcher at all. I'm improvising. It's what I do. I show up here at 6 p.m., day in, day out, and I improvise. What do you want from me? Blood? Ah! So, my daughter acquired this back when AJ and I were doing a show. Anyways, I'm going to take this with me to the Buddhist temple tonight. In short, this will be an abbreviated version tonight, and I'm going to set it up so that uh, I can Zoom cast the group meditation to people who are not in close proximity to the temple. Hi, Rose and Kathy. Welcome to Law and Disorder with your host, Ken Goldberg. And no small coincidence, I am Ken Goldberg. So, there is no Iradine, Rachel, and Becky. Oh, look at you all. Look at that. A lot of ladies. I got the ladies tonight. Yeah. I like that. I like the ladies. I'm a wow, wow, wee, wow. All right. So, when I was in Thailand, I bought this. An artist there did it. I know there's a reflection. It's a tiger, and inside is some sort of bird, and there are fish. There's a lot going on there, okay? Same artist did this. You see, there's a tiger down here, a tiger inside the mouth. The bird is on the outside, so it's a little reversal. And I'm showing you these because I bought these at a museum, an art place that's really it's a museum of the artist. He's a very popular artist there. And I tried to get somebody to do the tattoo. And they were going to do the tattoo, but at some point I changed my mind. It's so intricate. I'm having to consider whether I'm going to do one or do one. I don't know. I'm just telling you, they're under consideration. I have been for over a year. Well, no. So I bought them in Thailand. I took them to some tattoo artist. Now I put them away when I got home. I haven't given them a thought. I've been tidying up around here, and these were amongst my belongings. So I'm going to renew my interest in getting one of them, not both of them. Maybe I'll post them side by side on the internet at some point and ask people to vote on which one they think is cool. Because I'm all about cool, baby. So back, I told you the story, but I said it in a different context. I'm going to tell you the same story from another perspective, or not. Ah, he blew his brains out right on the air. Never say you didn't see something like that. Let's see here. So, um, I have endeavored since a fairly young age, I would say around the age of 15, I undertook the project to make me cool because prior to being 15, I had a complete absence of cool. I mean, there just wasn't any. I just didn't have it. I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't smart. I didn't have any indicia of cool. Not wardrobe, not language, not nothing. I didn't have a style. Okay. But I changed that. As I began to mature, testosterone began to flow through my body. I got, got hair on the top of my head. I don't know, whatever. So I undertook to be cool, and I've done an okay job. I mean, I've had a lot of years to work on it, And tattoos, for me, were something I wanted. I kept going into tattoo parlors when I was younger. There's one on Belmont and near Broadway, near Sheffield. Been there a long time. I used to walk in there because I worked and lived in that area, and the sound of the needles would always drive me out. I was like, I don't really need a tattoo. I moved to Dallas when I was about 41, and I landed up finally getting a tattoo in a part of town where there's a lot of tattoo parlors. Got this little, oh, it's gone. Never mind. I got this little tiger. It's like that. It's too little, right? So, yeah, it is an intense. The drawing is intense. They are. The artist was intense. So, oh, by the way, I'm sorry. People on YouTube, if you're ever there, I'm talking to people on Facebook, but you're welcome to join in anytime. So, I got my first tattoo as a little tiger, and so here was a body purged of me. I mean, not purged; they were never there. Clean. I was a clean canvas with this one little tiger, and it seemed silly to me after a while. So I got a tiger next to it that was slightly larger, like big brother, little brother kind of thing, and I made the new tiger kind of a little rougher around the edges than the first little cute little tiger, and. And then, of course, so I was around 41, 42. Now I'm 68, and I have a couple of new tattoos. I mean, not a couple of new, I have tattoos, right? Anyways, um, so I have tattoos. Cool. And if somebody outcools me, by somebody, I mean when the younger generation starts getting tattoos like they're nothing, and it loses its rebelliousness, because that's part of my cool. My cool was rebelliousness, right? So what I did was, when that happened, I went bigger. And Rose says, I love your big tiger, because the big tiger is about 18 inches long, 10 inches wide. It is big because I decided I can't get rid of my tattoos. I'll get more and get bigger, and that will be cooler than these punk kids running around getting, tattoos, these yuppie kids. So that's the story of the tattoos. And I've gone to great lengths to get nice tattoos. I've met with some of the great tattoo greats, some of the great tattooists in the country, and Marcus Pacheco and Guy Aitchison and I can't remember everybody's name, but anyways, those were two of the most famous artists. And if I could get one of them to do one of these, I would. But it's not what we came to talk about. And then cars. I never really worried about my car being cool. I was more interested in comfort. But back in, let's see, 90s, sometime in the early 2000s, I decided to get, as an additional vehicle, not as my first vehicle, um, a Trans Am, 96 Trans Am, had low miles on it, had a black convertible top. I had flames applied with pinstripe. I think they call it pinstripe. And it was cool. It had the same engine as a Corvette. I think it's called the 5.0 liter engine. It was cool, man. I liked it, and I used to. It was like a shark, man. It had this deep, rumble to it, and it moved so smooth through the air. And then one day I punched it. What I mean by punching it. Hit the accelerator like wham, and unbeknownst to me, I was coming up on a dip in the road. So the car went airborne. Didn't go real high, but all four wheels left the ground. I could feel it. I landed, and unfortunately, I bent all four aluminum rims. Not cool, not cool. But the guy behind me, when he caught up to me, is like, dude, you went airborne. I'm like, yeah, I know. He was following me to another bar. We were going from one bar to another bar. Anyways, I finally had to sell that car, primarily because it's a Pontiac Trans Am, And lights kept coming on, idiot lights saying, you need this repair, you need that repair. And I'm not good with constantly getting something fixed. So I let it go. I had a BMW convertible. I've had cool cars, but cars were not my focus of being cool. I did the motorcycle thing. Very cool. If you want cool, go for being a real motorcycle head and don't, there's two kinds of motorcyclists, not maybe more than two, but two that I know. One is tavern to tavern on a weekend, and the other is cross country. And I was more cross country because most of my life I don't drink. So I took one motorcycle. Unfortunately, it was undersized. It was a Yamaha 650. I took it to California and back. That was a long freaking trip with a 3-gallon tank. I had to stop all the time for gas. Anyways, wasn't a smart deal. But what did I do? I upgraded eventually to a big Honda Goldwing and took that to Georgia. I went to Arizona another time, the Grand Canyon, everything, Smoky Mountains. So that was cool. I mean, I dug it, and my bike was cool. I was cool on my bike. So I decided at some point. Oh, and then martial arts. Martial arts is cool. Being able to jump up in the air and break boards. By the way, did any of you see America's Got Talent last night? I think it was. They had they call themselves American Taekwondo team. They did some board breaking, and I imagine those boards were not boards like because they broke rather easily. But it didn't matter. It doesn't matter if they were the boards that we usually break in Taekwondo. The fact that the way they were doing it so acrobatically was just phenomenal. Just really, really something to watch. If you didn't see it, pull it up on YouTube. America's Got Talent Taekwondo performance. Swell. I think they got a golden buzzer from Terry Crews. Hi, Kathy and Rose and anybody else who's hiding out. So I did martial arts. I did Taekwondo, Kung Fu, Tai Chi. Um, I've done guns. I've done. I have dedicated a segment of my life, not my entire day or my entire life, to a certain element of cool. And I told you guys repeatedly, you're all cool kids now. And some of you are like, yeah, I'm not cool when I was in school. No, Ben, let me tell you something. You're hanging with me, you cool. Self-identified, man. Doesn't matter. You're cool. We are cool kids. Because after wasting all that time motorcycling and classic cars and tattoos and smoking dope and all of that, okay, at the end of the day, all I had to do was say, I'm cool, you know? So I had submachine gun. I owned my little friend. I owned the actual full automatic M14 that was used in the movie Scarface. I bought that. And I had a Thompson submachine gun, functional Thompson submachine gun, full automatic. I mean, you saw me with Borat. If the Borat thing wasn't that cool, but if you watch the video and you see when I went out on the range with the submachine gun to do a demonstration, you'll notice that I have a gun in a holster. It's a brown holster, and the gun has ivory grips on a stainless steel 38 Super, Colt 38 Super. Man, that gun was sweet. You can't see it really well, but take a glance at it. When you looked up close, it had anodized blue sights and safety, and so it was a two-tone. It was cool. I let Ricky have it recently. It's cool to be this old and still be above ground. So Jonas just said that we can condense the definition of cool to that. We no longer have to do this or that. Joan, and I don't disagree with her by declaration, has said, just to be this old makes us cool. I don't disagree, but I've met people this old haven't got one cool thing about them. And they don't have me to claim their coolness. What is your current cool factor? Asked Kathy. My current cool factor is being a Buddhist meditation teacher. How about that? I just thought of that, by the way. I wasn't sure that made me cool, but I'm declaring that is a cool thing. Um, I'm also kind of cool because I ride a bike, especially an e-bike. So I got in on e-biking long before anybody else did, probably long before anybody has. And I do a lot of riding. I'm out there. My carbon footprint is like this. Most people's carbon footprints are like that. Some people, their carbon footprint is that big. Mine's pretty small because I got my daughter's Prius, not my daughter's Prius anymore, it's mine. I've got a Prius, which is a hybrid engine. I've got 2 e-bikes. I recycle. Um, I unfortunately I acquire too much plastic because as those of you who live alone and don't cook know, it's kind of hard to buy anything for one person that's not packed in plastic if you don't cook. So I buy a lot of fruit, and I found that I wasn't eating fruit as much until I started buying cut fruit, cut melons to be specific. And they still come a little too big, but they're ready to eat. And I cut them up into smaller pieces and I eat them 2, 3 times a day. So I wish I didn't acquire so much plastic, but for the life of me, I don't know how you could buy cut fruit that's already cut and in a store without plastic containers. But I recycle my plastic containers. So I'm saving the planet as best I can. I'm a lawyer who gives away a lot of free advice, cheap advice. So I still have a lot of stuff I do, Kathy. That's very cool. By the way, we have 2 Kathys. So far, let me just revisit this. Yes, let me say this. Kathy, Rose, Radine, Rachel, Becky, Kathy, Joan. There goes that man. How much cooler can you be than to be sitting at your desk, podcasting, and having a bunch of women sitting and listening? That's the coolest thing I could do. And I'm doing it. Okay? So, but I didn't come to tell you about cool. I was just telling you that a part of my life has been committed to. Hi, Ann. Yep, one more woman. Man, I'm reveling in it. So a certain part of my life, and I think it's probably every waking minute, it's somewhere in my brain, there's this undertaking to be cool. I don't think it's necessarily conscious anymore. Started when I was 15 and evolved. I think though in some way, shape, or form, I sort of do still kind of look at the world, and to some extent, as I value what I think is cool, sometimes I grasp at it and I try not to cling, as we've talked about, attachment, not cool. But and I've told you the story about how early in my meditation practice, I came across a classic car show, and I was walking around, and there was this car for sale, a classic car. It's cool looking, right? And I remember it was 13 grand, and at the time I could have afforded it. And I'm sitting there gazing at it, and I'm wanting it, lusting for it. And but I've been meditating recently and been getting a little bit of an awareness, and I'm like, dude, you would need to be a mechanic to really take care of this car, or you'd have to have a lot more money and be able to hire mechanics, because I was already losing most of my money, but I could afford one car. Anyways, I recognized that the motivation to acquire this car, when I examined my motives, was because I thought I'd look cool in it. and I would look cool in it. It's not that I wouldn't. I'm just saying that I recognize that as part of my motivation. And so right then and there, I made a decision not to do that because I didn't think that's going to be very healthy, right? So I walk away, and shortly thereafter, I came across a vendor's booth with the t-shirts, and I was going to buy a $10 t-shirt until I realized I had, like 40 t-shirts at home. I don't need a t-shirt. Why am I looking at t-shirts? And because they had skulls on them, I like skulls, so I'm going to buy a t-shirt, $10. What's the big deal? And I realized again, dollar, it's your aspiration to be cool, and you're buying your way in, and forget it. And I walked away. I didn't acquire anything. Buying is one of the fundamental ways we get cool. We see the right clothing for ourselves. I'm not saying there's, cool clothing version. I'm saying that you begin to develop your own style, and so you got to be able to afford your style. Some people are thrift chic. I have done that a lot. I did vintage clothing, which I tried to get mostly in thrift stores, but a lot of times you just got to go where they specialize in vintage clothing. And I had a nice selection of shirts and jackets. Unfortunately, with vintage clothing, in case you didn't know this, if you actually want to wear it, you will wear it out because it was already old to begin with. It doesn't hold up well. It holds up well for a 50-year-old shirt or jacket, but at some point, and repairing them doesn't become very practical. So that was my style was very vintage at one time. I still love kind of vintage, but that's a lot of polyester, and polyester is hot in Dallas here. When the sun is out and you're wearing polyester, you might as well stick your head in an oven. Okay, that's on, not just stick your head in the oven, because if it's not on, there's no relationship to. So um, so yeah. Uh, I guess I'm saying it's like a lizard brain, right? There's a part of your brain I think they say it's reptilian, right? And so you go, and part of your brain maybe sexually seeks out a sexual gratification at kind of a reptilian level, or whatever it is. Exercise. I don't. It doesn't matter. I'm saying that some part of my brain is always functioning in the realm of cool, but it's long past the time where it was an overt manifestation. It's not. It's just kind of a something that comes around, and when I see it, I grab it, right? So but Joan says it's cool to be this old and still above ground. I'm going back to that because hand in hand with that is, as we age, it's harder to find ways to be cool, frankly, right? I mean, I used to be cool. I owned nightclubs. I owned 3 nightclubs. A lot of people thought that was cool. Yo, I don't have the energy to run a nightclub anymore. Um, I don't have the energy I had when I was formulating and executing my coolness, right? So today, and I mean literally sort of today, um, I have to kind of minimize my aspirations around cool or fitness or whatever it is. For those of you that are into fitness, you already know. I know Kathy knows a lot about fitness. Kathy Peterson, she's a trainer. If she's still here, she could confirm. The older you get, so we all have zones that we can work out in, or exercise in, that are have certain will bring about certain results. So as the years go by, my aerobic zone comes down. So I don't have to get my heart rate up to 160 anymore to be in my aerobic zone. I don't have to be at 140 to be in my fat burning zone. Those numbers decline with my age. So now, if I'm at 160, I'm anaerobic. 10 years ago, that was aerobic. So there's a physical modification that I just have to accept, and that infringes to some degree on how you're going to look at yourself. There's Velvet joining us right on time. I mean, she's almost like clockwork, isn't she? So so I'm out biking, but for those of you that are still exercising, whether you go to the gym, whether you get on a treadmill, whether you get on a stairmaster, if you're walking, whatever you're doing that you see as a fitness regimen, you already know, or you should know, that if you're monitoring your heart rate, which is something I do on every ride, and I did it when I went to the gym because I'm trying to get my heart rate up at a certain level for a certain amount of time every week, every day if possible. And so I've watched that where I used to be able to operate up here, up. This is up, right? This is down. This is where my resting heart rate is. Okay, this is my walking heart rate. This is my I'm agitated heart rate. This is my bicycle kind of mellow heart rate. This is my bicycle not as mellow. And this is my bicycle, I'm going for it. Okay. And as I say, this number where I'm going for it, that has changed. Thus, do I have to identify as an aging person because I can't ignore it? You know, all things are impermanent. And if I didn't know it, my heart rate would tell me that. So I try to go out now where I used to go out, and people say, well, how fast do you go, Ken? Because I've been biking a lot for years. And I'd say, yeah, about 140 beats a minute. Because I don't look at the speedometer because the speedometer is irrelevant to me. If I can go 8 miles an hour and keep my heart rate up, that's fine. Or for the other way is to go 20 miles an hour and my heart rate's up. That's fine. So I have a computer on my bike. It gives you a lot of data, but the one I pay the most attention to is heart rate. I try to keep my what I was going to say is now it's not uncommon for me to go, you know what? I'm not in a mood to bust my ass on a bicycle. What I'm going to do is get on the bike. I'm just going to get my heart rate up around 120 for a couple of hours, because a couple of hours of 120 is pretty good. You know, most people, maybe they go to the gym and they get on a treadmill and they get up into the aerobic zone for 40 minutes and then they're sweating, they're wiped out, they're done. It's really hard for people to spend multiple hours at an elevated heart rate that is worthy of exercise. But the bicycle does it for me. So sometimes I go out with no intention of pushing longer, but not so hard. 140 beats a minute is high. It's and on Saturdays when I ride with my buddy, it's not uncommon for me to, if I don't have my e-bike, I'm pretty much operating at about 140 beats consistently in that area for quite some time. And when we get to hills, God bless it, I'm going to hit somewhere between 150 and 160 doing hill climbing. We don't have mountains here, but we do have some hills. So I don't enjoy 140 beats a minute as much as I used to. I'm comfortable at 125 now. Keeps dropping. So look at my watch just said workout finished because I'm waving my hand. My watch thought I was exercising. Silly watch. So now Ann says 140 beats a minute is high, but if you're pushing your fitness limit, which I don't, but I can tell you that I know people that are better at pushing their fitness limit, and 140 beats, it doesn't seem high for them even at this age. They do things like interval biking. So they bike from point A to point B really hard, get the heart rate up in 160s or whatever. Then they slow it down and they speed it up and they slow it down. It's called interval training. And those people seem to be able to generate a higher heart rate for a longer period of time than I can typically do. But sometimes when I'm watching my heart rate and Paul and we're going up a hill on a Saturday morning, I'm like 153, 156. oh, I'm gasping for air. At 140, I'm not usually gasping, but I'm not necessarily that comfortable either. If you're gasping for air, you working it. You working it. All right. So it's 6:30, and I'm going to go to the temple shortly and lead meditation. It's what I'm going to do every Wednesday. Now we're going back to the pre-pandemic schedule, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We do sitting meditation for 20 minutes. We do walking meditation for about 20 minutes, and then we do one more sit. And at the end of it, we always do metta, which everybody here you're familiar with because you've listened in the past. Um, so, since Wednesday nights require my presence there, I'm going to have to continually try to assess how I'm going to do my podcast. If I'm going to do my podcast, I may decide Wednesdays just got to skip it. Last week, I went to the temple and I podcast from the garden. And I thought about doing that again, but I want to tell y'all, it's hot out. It was hot out last week. It's hot out again. It's humid. It was humid last week, last Wednesday. It's humid again. And so I got up to go to the temple and podcast from there. And I thought to myself, you know what? The more prudent course of action would be to podcast from your air conditioned bedroom and then go to the temple, which I will do soon, and not podcast from there. Because you can't podcast from the inside, the air conditioned Buddha Hall, because the monks are actually in there at this moment, as you saw last week. If you saw, there's the monks were chanting at this hour and meditating. So I can't intrude on that. Um, I did video some of it, but I can't be sitting there, podcasting. So this is a wrap up. Um, I really like that. If nothing else, a half a dozen women thought I was worthy tonight. Thank you. I really, really thank you. Because on Monday, I told y'all I went and met a woman, and I will tell you that it would be hard to be more uncomfortable. My social skills are kind of like my heart rate is harder all the time. It gets more challenging to talk to members of the opposite sex with each passing year. And so just as it becomes more challenging to get my heart rate up, so Monday I spent about 2 hours chatting with somebody. That's all, just chatting. But it wore me out. It was, the mind was, what do you say? What don't you say? And as we talked about yesterday, I said more stuff than needed to be said. I blurted out stuff I don't need to be blurting out necessarily. There's a time and a place for everything. Otherwise, TMI, too much information, right? Um, I'm the master of TMI. And I don't mean master and skillful. I mean master and I'm really good at blurting. I don't mean masterful like, yeah, I know when to blurt, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah, yeah, I got this, baby. You know what I'm talking about? Sure you do. Sure you do. No, no. Thank you, Rose. It's very kind of you. Um, so we're going to do some metta, wrap this up. I hope y'all will come back tomorrow. Oh, by the way, real quick, yesterday I got a text. Are you going to make your dental appointment today? I'm like, oh man, damn, I forgot. I had a dental appointment. I didn't put it in my calendar, right? So what are you going to do? I zoomed to AA, then I booked over to the dental office. Real nice lady, nice staff, but they've been working on pain. And so she identified, and then she said, you want me to proceed with the new fillings? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So I had that done. I had my numb face till about 12:30 this afternoon, and that's when I decided I want ice cream, but I don't deserve ice cream. Kill two birds with the one stone. I got on my bicycle in the heat of the day, bicycled about 11 miles to the ice cream parlor, bought myself a quart. I brought some ice with me, put it in uh, this bag that's supposed to help things stay cool, and I put some ice that I had around it, and I boogied home. And I checked on it a little while ago. It melted quite a bit, but it's in the freezer now. I'm gonna have me some ice cream right back. So I nailed about 20 miles on my e-bike, but I feel like um, I worked for my scoop of ice cream that I will have when I get back from the temple. All right, so now you know how it went down. Thank you, Kathy. All right, let's bring our hands together before our hearts. Let's bow our heads. Let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath, everybody. And let us practice something that, if you're new, it's called metta. Metta is a Pali word, P-A-L-I. Pali was the language the Buddha taught in. And metta is loosely translated as loving kindness, goodwill. So we do it this way. Think to yourself, may I be happy, healthy, free from harm, free from anger, anxiety, and fear. May this practice lead me to greater peace and comfort. And to my mother and father, all my family, all my friends. May they also be happy, healthy, and free from harm. And may they be finding the path, walking the path that guides them to great peace and comfort. And to those persons I harbor any ill will towards, whatever discomfort I imagine, I can still send them goodwill in this moment so they are happy, healthy, and enjoying their lives as we meditate, as we reflect. And then ultimately to all living beings, humans and non humans, wherever they may be, may all beings be happy, healthy, free from harm. May all be living their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Well, thank you, Rose and Joan and Becky and Chris, if he shows up, and Mark and Ann and Kathy and Rachel and then the other Kathy and Joan and I don't know, Radine, and hey guys, thank you. Take care. See you tomorrow.